Hi everyone! Welcome to another episode of Nathan's 3D Factory. In this episode, I'm going to do an Easter egg, and it's going to have a special surprise inside. So let's check it out now. Okay, so first thing, let's delete this. Actually, no, let's not delete this. Okay, typical habit, you know? Okay, so I actually have some measurements for this Easter egg, and so I did a typical one at 56 by 56 by 80. Okay, so we're going to use those measurements for a moment, and I am going to turn this into a reference wireframe, okay? So, I'm going to do this item as display as wire, okay? Okay, now I'm going to add an image. And it doesn't matter if it's reference or background in this case. So, let's see. I got this Easter egg image that I got. Now, what I need to do is I need to scale this up so that it matches the dimensions of this box, okay? So, we're going to scale this up. Okay, and then we're going to grab that, pull it up here. And I actually want this to be sitting a little bit low on this, okay? Well, okay, I should say I want this to match this, and then I'm going to pull it down a little bit, okay? So I want this so that the bottom of this egg image sits right at the print bed. So, here we go. And that's about right there. Okay, and then I can use the median point instead, making it 3D cursor. Okay, and I'm going to scale it just a little bit more up. Okay, so that matches what we need to do, okay? So, I can get rid of this now. X, delete. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a curve. And I'm just going to do a Bezier curve. Okay. Now, what I need to do is that I need to delete the vertices, and then I'm going to go into draw mode. Okay. Now we're going to start drawing on here. Okay. All right. So now, what we want to do is we want to make sure that this is actually a curve here, right? So then I'm going to go back to this. Then I can go back to median point. Okay. I want to make sure that all these are going to have their curves like they should. And I'm going to turn off this image. So we'll turn that off. Okay, so right now, I'm not seeing exactly how we're going to get this, other than we're going to have to connect these, right? Okay, so those didn't quite connect there. So this is something else that we need to know. Okay, so we do have a 3D curve, so that's good. Okay, and I think when I went into draw mode, I think what happened was that I was doing point by point. So something you may not want to do here then. Okay, so we're going to try this again. We're going to do the draw mode. Okay, and then there we go. So that's also something you need to know. Okay, so now we got that. Okay. And then what we need to do is that we need to get these items so that they're going to line up with the outside of this egg image, okay? So now, what I can do is I can start cleaning these up by saying, well, I don't need this one. And I can start kind of rotating these two and scaling them. Okay. And I want this one so that it's going to be at 0 on the X, okay? I want this exactly centered. Same thing on this one. X needs to be at 0. And I want all these to be at Y 0 as well. Okay, and I only want maybe 3 control points on this. So I'm going to delete that vertex, delete that one. So now, let's see. Now I'm going to bring this down to about where the bulge is. Okay. And then I can start doing this. Okay. Same thing here. Okay. Okay, so here's also what I want to do. I also want to get this, so SZ is at 0. SX 0. Yeah, now let's see. SZ 0. There we go. Okay. And then I can also just kind of tweak these. And I can take this and make it go up a little bit more. Okay. And then what I want to do is that I want to revolve this, right? So what I can do is I can take this, and then what I can do is I can convert it to a mesh. Or I can also spin it around with a circle, but I think I want to just take this and make it a mesh and spin it. Okay? So, what I'm going to do then is I'm going to convert to to a mesh. Convert to mesh. Oh yeah, I also want to take this at a lower resolution. So you can see that there's like some vertices right here, right? So if I were to take this to resolution 2, that's really small there. So we don't want that. So we do 6. That's better. Let's see. 12. Pretty high resolution. But I think I'm going to take this to 6. Okay. So I'm going to convert to mesh. All right. And then what I want to do is I want to spin these. Sorry, that's a rename. And I do want to do that in a moment. Spin. Okay, so we're seeing also how it's spinning. This is view specific, I should say that. So we're going to try this again up here. Okay, you can do 12 steps, you can do more, you can do less. I think 12 will be good for this tutorial. And now I want to get rid of any excess vertices by doing M by distance. So we remove some vertices because of that, right? Okay, so now let's get out of there. Now I'm going to go into wireframe here for a moment. Okay, and this right here is about where we want to have our separation, okay? So, let's see. I do also want to give it some thickness though, because we're going to turn this into an actual physical egg. And we're also going to take this and pull this down. G, Z, negative 10. Okay, negative 10 I didn't like, so negative 6. Okay, that looks better. Okay. Now, on this, I want to get rid of these vertices. So I'll do that. Okay. If I do Shift V, then I can get it up. I can always move this down later. So, but now we're going to have a flat bottom. We're just going to do F. Okay. All right, and then what we're going to do is that we want to take all these right here. And I can never remember if it's V or Y where we do these, where we separate these. I believe it's V. Okay, it's not that, it's Y. So now we have two separate objects, right? And I want to separate these two. Okay, so now we're going to do solidify. Okay, and we do want this as a negative thickness. So the offset is going to be negative. So we're going to make this 3. Okay. And then we want to do the same thing here. Solidify 3. Okay, there we go. Okay, so now I'd also like these to be even thickness on these. So that's something that I think is very important. Even thickness. Okay, next thing I want to do is that you'll notice that from here up to here is a different Z value, right? So what I want to do is I want to apply this. Okay, and I want to do the same thing here. GZ. Oh yeah. Also make sure that you enable these. Vertex is what I do typically. GZ. Okay, I want to make sure that these are at the same Z value. Okay, and those look good. And I want to do the same here. Okay, and then GZ, same thing there. There we go. And now we have those so they're evened up. Okay. And next thing what I'm going to do is that I want to have a groove that goes in here. Okay. So what I'm going to do is Control R. Now, let's see. What I'm going to do is I'm going to have that edge slide factor. So it goes negative 0.5. So we're also going to do a little distance measure on this to make sure we're good. Okay. So to do that, we're going to get measure. And then we're going to take it between these 2 points. So 0.7 millimeters, I may want to make that a little bit thicker there. Actually, I do want to make that a little thicker there. So go back to there. And we're just going to go Shift V. Okay. So now we'll try that measure again. Okay. I think I'm good with that measurement right there. Okay. So now, got that taken care of. And it looks like what I did was I cut, okay, because I did 2 selections here, right? I got both of these, and I ended up making this cut here on this top eggshell. I wanted that on the bottom eggshell, but you know what? That's fine. Because you know what? I can do this. Shift R. or Control R. Okay. All right, so there we go. And now, I'll do this one. Okay, we're going to take this out again, Shift V. All right, and I don't want this going out 1. So let's see. Okay. Negative 0.25. Okay, so that I did not want to do. So if it's not going to do that, well, then I'm going to scale it out. So what I want to do is I want to have a gap between these two right here. Okay, so I'm going to do another measurement right there. Okay, 0.5. Okay, so 0.5. That's a pretty decent sized gap. That might be a little too big. So actually, that might be exactly what we're looking for, because I have done tighter gaps and they've typically been like really hard to get apart if I want them to actually come apart. Okay. Okay, so now what I need to do is I need to inspect these to make sure that we have all of our assets where they need to be. Okay, this one right here does not look so good. So I don't exactly like that one, so I'm going to get rid of that edge loop. Okay. And I'm actually going to look at this one too, make sure that I got this one right. I want to make sure everything's even. So this is essential for getting all your stuff, right? And sometimes just deleting it and doing it over again is not a bad thing. Okay, guys? Okay. Just want to make sure that's even. Okay. All right, we're going to do another Control R again. This time we're not going to do the vertex slide. We're just going to do Control R. And then we're going to do that distance again to make sure that we have about 0.5 on our measurement, okay? Okay, that looks good. Try that again. Yeah, okay, that looks good. Okay. Okay. And then what I want to do is I want to extrude one of these right here. So we're going to take this one. Okay, there we go. Okay, I'm going to go and face select by pressing 3. All right. E, Z, Z. There we go. Okay. All right. Now, I'm going to take this so it's 4. Okay. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to go to edge select now. Okay. instead of doing it with, oh, let's see, hold on. Go to 3 face selection. Okay. EZ. Go about 4.5 on this. Okay, there we go. Now, I'm going to go into here, into the local mode, by pressing the slash. Okay. Now, what I want to do is I want to go into edge select mode, XV. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these 2 edge loops by pressing the Alt to select each of them, and then Shift, and then I'm going to do Control E, bridge edge loops. Okay, and there we have it. All right. There we go. And then I'll go back out of that. There we go. All right. So now we got an egg that's got 2 halves, right? And these 2 will fit together. Because now we got a gap there for each of these. Now, I told you I was going to put a little surprise in there, right? And that is exactly what I'm going to do. So I'm going to go into Assets. And we're going to put a little hand in there, okay? Now, I'm not going to pose this or anything. You can do whatever you want on that. But let's just say that you can do some fun things with it if you can rig it up with a skeleton, right? So, I'm going to drag this in from my asset browser. Okay. And actually, the size of that hand is not bad, but I think I might actually take it a little bit up. Okay. Okay, here we go. And then I'm going to move this a little bit over and a little bit up. Okay. All right. There we go. Okay. Now you see that I had something that said not editable, right? So let's see if I can actually join those 2. Okay, so now we're good. So that's definitely good to know on that. But now you have these 2 that are joined together. Okay, and I can press L to kind of move that around. There we go. Okay. So now we have a hand inside the Easter egg base, right? So now, got this nice little surprise here, you know? So, and then I can do Control 2 to make a subdivision, Control 2, subdivision. I can shade these smooth as well. Okay. And I'm going to get rid of this material, and we're just going to make it all the same color. Material. Okay. We'll make it a green color similar to the one that we got on screen there, right? Okay. So, we're just about done. Make this so that this is there. Same thing here. Okay. There we go. And now we can take this so that we can export this to STL, right? So that's what we'll do, is that we are going to export this. I also want to make sure that this sits flat on the bed. So I want to do Shift E1. There we go. So So I do want to take some of these edges so I can make them Shift E1. Okay. So I love my subdivision surfaces. Very, very good tool to have. But also, it does create some curves that maybe aren't quite so sharp as you want them. And they can make some unpredictable results. So it's good to make things a little bit more predictable. Okay. And actually, I'm going to hide those for a moment. So what I did, hello. Okay, L, H, okay, solid. Then what I want to do is I want to turn off this subdivision for a moment so I can see this better. Shift E1. Okay, now we can do that better. There, looks great. Okay, so takes care of that one. I got all the creases where I want them. And now I can go into the other one. So I'll do the same thing where I do slash to get my local view. I'm going to turn off this again. These guys, Shift E1, Shift E1, Shift E1. Okay. Now I can turn this back on. And look at that. Pretty sweet, isn't it? Okay, so get back into the global view. And then what I can do, I'm not going to worry about renaming these. I'm going to export these to STL. All right, let's see. And I already have an Easter egg file taken care of here. So let's do Easter egg tutorial. Okay, so I've done this previously, as you can see right here. Okay, and I'm going to save this one as Easter egg tutorial. So have some fun with that. All right, so that is the tutorial for today. So let me know what you think of this episode in the comments below. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so. And also make sure to add a like to this so that we know that I can keep making content and that you like this stuff. So thank you so much for watching this episode of Nathan's 3D Factory. Have a great day, everyone.